What's going on, guys? Welcome to the second edition of the WCW Nitro Podcast. I'm your host. I'm Notorious when I am Dom. I'm also here with my boy all the way from Delaware, BDC. BDC, what's going on, brother? How you doing?
What's good? I'm good. It's been a long day,
It has
but
been
we're
a
gonna
long
sit
day.
back here and talk about the hour that was, which is episode 2.
Yes, we are at episode 2 of WCW Monday Nitro. We're taking
Yep.
it back to September 9th, or September 11th, 1995. And we are in Miami, Florida, and we got Eric Bischoff, Steve Mongo McMichael, and Bobby the Brain Heenan on commentary,
hmm
and they show how the show kicks off from last week, the confrontation with Lex Luger and Hulk Hogan.
Which, if you folks remember from the last episode, I still found it weird that Hulk Hogan was talking crap about how Lex Luger needed to come and mess with it and deal with him because he's all WCW. When in fact, Lex Luger is more WCW than Hogan ever was. But you
Facts.
know, still, it is what it is, though, man.
All right, so
It
before
is what
we
it is.
get into the show, Eric Bischoff made an announcement that Vader is AWOL and he won't be at the upcoming Fall Brawl pay per view. And I had
Yep.
to look that up. He left WCW at this time.
I'm not surprised. back in the 90s, people just like weird stuff like that happen. It's like people disappear, people just leave, and I mean, this is before the age of social media where everybody knows everything. So somebody could literally leave, and you just won't know till they show up somewhere else. So that's that absolutely was nothing new for the time. It is definitely something for now where everything has to be known by everybody. So,
Do you
so
think
yeah,
that
he
Vader was like,
split.
he was like, oh shit, Lex Luger's gone. Let me jump over. Maybe I can take his spot. Do you think that's what happened?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. That did not happen. Mm.
Yeah, because we know how that played out. That
Yeah,
man,
yeah.
he
That
lost a step. Shawn Michaels basically buried that man, and that was his WWF career.
yep. It's like if what I'm reading about Vader is true, poor Vader.
Facts. All right, so our opening
Yep.
match for Nitro, we have Sabu taking on Alex Wright.
Das in his Das Wunderkind age.
Yes.
Um, Before he became the dancing idiot and before he became what was his name when he was just the
Berlin.
Berlin, yeah, Berlin, yeah. So at this time he was Das Wunderkind.
Yes.
And for Sabu's debut match, um, it was interesting. Yeah,
Sabu brought the fight to Alex Wright.
yeah, he
He gave it to him.
he made sure that people knew he was hardcore. He from the very start of that match, he made it known. Was it a technical classic? Absolutely not. But it was a fight, and and if you have followed Sabu through any point of his career, he's not going to suplex you to death, but he will fight you all day long, and no holds barred when he fights.
That's for sure. And Sabu, if you're familiar with Sabu, you know what he's all about. He's extreme. He had Alex Wright outside the ring. He ran on top of a chair and he missed. He crashed and burned by jumping off the chair and trying to take Alex Wright out, but he ended up landing on the guardrail.
Yeah,
And then Alex Wright, he took advantage. He got physical, started throwing him some drop kicks, some aerial maneuvers, but at the end
yeah,
of the day, Sabu just won by basically flipping himself off the top rope, like
yeah. I
a
was I
sunset
was
flip.
hoping for a name for that move because it was just like a off the top rope victory roll.
It was definitely
Um,
unorthodox, I'll tell you that.
but I mean, and Sabu wins his debut, but then Sabu decides the match isn't over yet. He wasn't through with him yet. So then he proceeds to take him outside the ring, busts him up a little more with everything he can find, and proceeds to finally put him through a table, which caused Nick Patrick to reverse his decision and give the victory to Alex Wright, despite the fact that Alex Wright very much lost in the ring 1-2-3. Very interesting ending to the match.
This is before we got extreme, or not us per se, but wrestling got extreme.
Yeah.
This was a stiff ass table. It wasn't no working table.
Yeah.
WWE that they just go through and you just sneeze on it. Nah, like you really got to put yourself in danger for the table to break.
And Alex Wright, literally the only thing of Alex Wright that really went through that table, because most of it was Sabu, but it was his head and shoulders that went through that table. And, I'm sorry, that sounds like it got hurt, you know. So yeah, they reversed the decision, and in typical WCW fashion at that time, once his music started playing, they started giving all the highlights to the match that he had, which included the intro of him running down to the ring in slow motion when he was limping and barely crawling to get out of that ring because he had actually lost the match, but won the match. So,
for Sabu's debut, that match definitely doesn't matter. It shows what he's all about, but
yep, it was not a good match.
Alex Wright definitely don't fit this type of scheme of match right
here. No,
so.
Not at all.
All right, but after this, we get the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. He's in the ring with me, Gene, and him and Arn Anderson. They're gonna battle it out at Fall Brawl. Then all of a sudden, Lex Luger comes out. And then Ric Flair, he praises Lex Luger. And then all Lex Luger said was, some things never change. He walked out. Like, what?
Yeah, that segment was just another attempt to get Lex Luger to come out to the ring. I don't know why. Interesting to note, ladies and gentlemen, at that point, Ric Flair was only an 11-time world champion. He still had 5 more to go.
Yes.
1995, and think about that for a minute. He ended his career. Technically, it's debatable when he ended his career because he wrestled a match last year that he almost needed to be resuscitated after.
Yep.
But you're talking, this is 1990, 95, 93, 94, 95? He was an 11-time champion then. He got 5 more title reigns after that. And he was wrestling pretty steadily up to what? Shawn Michaels kicked his head off at WrestleMania?
That, he had I seen, it was a stat on Facebook the other day. I think after the Shawn Michaels match, I think he had maybe 15 more matches after that. Oh, man. Poor Ric Flair.
Yeah.
And I told you, they said that he wants one more match. And then
he really should not.
They said the next match Ric Flair's going to have is going to be a casket match.
Yeah. No matter how it ends, he's going to end up in the casket. Because, God.
Chill out, enjoy life, watch Charlotte come back, and Andrade do the same thing.
Enjoy his wife that's like Charlotte's age and keep it moving.
You got a new one?
I think so. I know he was with somebody.
Him and Wendy broke up.
Oh God, they broke up again.
They broke up.
Oh Lord.
All right. Well, our next match is for the United States Championship. We get the debut of VK WallStreet. Last week in episode 1, he wasn't VK. He was Michael WallStreet.
Michael WallStreet.
Do you have an idea what the VK stand for?
I could take an educated guess that VK probably stands for something along the lines of Vincent Kennedy, which has to do with another rival promoter who also has a show that runs on Monday nights. It might be that, especially when it comes to the fact that it has to deal with a lot of money, and this particular wrestler, VK WallStreet, had just left, that other promotion that Vincent Kennedy ran. So I'm thinking that might be the direct correlation. I do find it rather hilarious that when his name popped up, first thing Eric says is, excuse me, what's this VK crap? And Bobby's like, I don't know what you're talking about. It's like what? Like, okay, here we go. But yeah, so obviously we rib, we jab, but we're of course talking about Mr. McMahon.
Yeah.
Real name Vincent Kennedy McMahon, and they very quickly changed his name from Michael to VK to kind of throw a shot at him, I guess.
Yes, well, VK WallStreet, he is making his in-ring debut in WCW Nitro, and he is facing United States champion in this a title match right here. He's going against the man they call Sting.
Yep.
And Sting, while making his entrance, Eric Bischoff, that dirty Eric Bischoff, he starts spoiling the results for Monday Night Raw. Starting
And
early, real early.
Started episode 2.
Yes.
And back then, Raw taped all their shows. They weren't live, and I guess at that early stage, he kind of did it. I'm not really sure if he did it a whole lot. It was kind of like a thing he did every now and then. But then, as the Monday Night Wars really got hot, he kind of did it a little more often until he did it that one time too many and basically ended the Monday Night Wars by himself and not in the way that he wanted them to. So, yeah, he episode 2 he started early. So episode 1 he showed the world that he was indeed the owner by the way he was talking to Scott Norton. Episode 2 he's spoiling matches. So like it's already started before anything else. Yeah, he was on that time already. He was looking for every advantage he could possibly get, and the best advantage he had at that time was, hey, well, if I tell you how the matches are going to go, if I spoil it for you, you're not going to want to go watch it. And it worked until clearly it didn't.
Yeah, well, you talking about this match right here, or talking about Eric spoiling for everybody, that's longer than this match with Sting and VK WallStreet, because this match was short. Sting won the match with a diving crossbody.
Yeah. And that's one thing I could honestly say about WCW back in those days. They didn't necessarily need their finishers to win matches.
No.
Like, the finishers was cool and all, but like, whereas WWE, they made sure that they got their finishers in at least, once or twice in a match. Even if the finisher ends up getting to the rope or something like that, they made sure those finishers got in the match. WCW, not so much. WCW would win the match on a victory roll or a high cross body off the top rope or something like that. Something that is completely a move that they don't even normally do, but they'll win the match off of that.
Yep. Yeah. Well, for VK WallStreet trying to play with the big boys, he didn't look like a big boy. He looked like
no.
little boys.
Yeah.
He didn't prove himself. He didn't show me anything.
And the crazy thing is Mike Rotunda, the athlete, this is, while we talk about his debut as VK WallStreet, it is not his debut in WCW as Mike Rotunda. He has been in WCW before. He's a tag team specialist. He's a very solid technical wrestler. I don't know why this particular version of him didn't show the technical ability that he's always been known to have, but it was literally like, if I didn't know any better, they tried to make him wrestle like Ted DiBiase.
More that technical based style you talking about?
Well, I mean, he was not. I guess the best way to say it, he was more for show than for actual technique. And when you have a guy who's a technical talent like he is and he was at that time, having him just be for show where he's doing moves and he's playing to the crowd and stuff like that, not really just getting down to business, it does him a disservice, because we know he can go in the ring, but this particular version of him was not about that. So you get what you get, and I mean, it's not like Sting is no bum. Sting could get down with you too. So that match had the potential of being something much better than it actually was. It just did.
Yeah. Well, our next match, we have the in-ring debut of Scott Flash Norton. He's taking on the Macho Man, Randy Savage.
Mm-hmm.
And while Macho Man is making his entrance, Scott Norton, he attacks him.
Yep.
And during this whole time, Norton, he was beating the hell out of Macho Man, Randy Savage. And Savage is just selling it. Savage is so good.
Yep.
He is so good.
Yep.
And every single time Norton was beating up Savage, he kept staring at Mongo and said, "Once I'm done with Savage, I'm coming for you. You're next."
Yeah. Which worked perfectly since they moved everyone to the entranceway versus the ring where they were last week. Because week one, of course, they were down at the ring and everything happened down there. Week two, somebody got smart and said, "Yeah, let's move the table all the way back. Let's move it up to the entranceway where if anybody has something to say, they have to look for us and what have you." And that's what they did. And it worked out well. I mean, they did it for the next 5.5 to 6 years. So it worked for them. But in this particular instance, yeah, the Flash is looking for Mongo after their beef from last week and yada, yada, yada. Macho Man, say what you want about him. He technical. He's, everything that there is to say about Macho. One thing that I can honestly say, when Macho started giving you jabs, his hand game was a thing of beauty. His hand game is a thing of beauty. Like I could watch him throw bones all day. Them hands was a thing of beauty when you start throwing them. And of course, it was once he started doing that, it started getting into a solid rhythm. He got caught up with the Dungeon of Doom. They just kind of just showed up. I guess they were very happy that Vader wasn't going to be a part of the team anymore, so they decided they were just going to jump everybody. And Macho was first, and they ended up inadvertently costing Scott Norton the match when Scott Norton runs into the shark, and then the shark falls on his legs. And Shark is small, and then Savage goes for the flying elbow. And Scott Norton can't kick out because his legs is covered by a 400+ pound man, so he can't kick out. He loses.
Scott Norton, he just pissed off the Dungeon of Doom interfering in his match. And man, it was a crazy time, man. Because Scott Norton, he was looking really impressive.
He was
dominating this whole match.
Macho
Man went for a double axe handle off the top rope,
and he caught him
to a backbreaker and just threw him down. And, oh my god!
He had counters for everything, except the 400-pound man laid on his legs. He didn't have a counter for that.
Oh my god! Scott Norton looked pretty impressive, and
yeah, he did.
Let's fast forward a few years later with the whole NWO thing.
Yeah.
Why did you have Scott Norton be the bodyguard for the NWO instead of Vincent?
I don't know. Like none of the NWO after they split into the Black and White and the Wolfpack made much sense to me. Yeah. Like it almost seemed like you had NWO Black and White. When they split off to the Wolfpack kind of had that cohesion that NWO as a whole had, and NWO Black and White just started doing any and everything. It was like all of a sudden now it was the redheaded stepchild. It was crazy. You could have had Scott Norton be a very solid enforcer for the NWO. Especially being as though at that point the NWO lost Kevin Nash and Scott Hall both to the Wolfpack. So you lost two of their biggest players, and Hogan wasn't hulking up, so he wasn't really that. He was a strong leader, but he wasn't really that strong as far as a character based on that. So I mean, you could have had a Scott Norton play the enforcer and just anybody step up to the NWO, he handles the light work. You could have done it, but yeah, I never understood why it was Vincent. Because Vincent, I could not believe Vincent actually ever being capable of beating anybody. Ever. And that's no knock. That's no knock on Vincent, because as Virgil, he could throw down, but as Vincent, he was an absolute joke. He was an absolute joke as Vincent.
Joke as Virgil too.
No, but at least as Virgil, he had his moment as Virgil. As Vincent, there were no moments to have as Vincent. Absolutely none.
I see what you're talking about. Like, I don't know. I'm not gonna say WCW hired him for the name value, because he was the one.
No, they certainly didn't do that.
He wasn't one of Hogan's boys, so why would Mike Jones be in WCW?
I never got why that was, and I think that was more or less WCW at the time was making it a point to get every WWE or WWF superstar that left. Like every WWF superstar that left, they signed. Literally, it just seemed like every time somebody left WWF, they were in WCW within like a month, and he was just one of them. It's like, okay, he left. Let's bring him in. That is literally what it seemed like. There was no real rhyme or reason why anyone would ever want to bring Virgil into WCW. But like, you know what? We liked what you did at WWF, and we wanna put you in this. What? No. Once he was out from under Ted DiBiase, and that angle with Ted DiBiase was over, so was Virgil's career.
Seriously, I'll never forget. It was some WrestleMania package, and Roddy Piper, I trained you. Get up. I think it was a Piper and Ted DiBiase going at it, and yeah, he's yelling at Virgil with the crutches, or vice versa. Something happened. I don't know.
I would not admit that.
I remember
that. I would not admit that.
Oh,
I would not admit that.
Virgil.
No.
What's your top 5 Virgil matches all the time?
Oh, you think I know 5 Virgil matches?
I know they're featuring the $1 Million Man. That's it.
Yeah, when he won the $1 Million title. Yeah, that's what it was. When he won the $1 Million title, and summarily it was stolen from him by Repo Man. What? Repo Man stole the $1 Million title from him.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, forget Virgil. R.I.P. Virgil. Mike Jones.
Yep. Rest in peace, dude.
We definitely do miss you. Let's get back to Scott Norton right quick. All right,
okay.
Scott Norton. At this time in 1995, I know this is his first in-ring match right here. His career wasn't all that, because I know he became partners with
Ice Train,
R.I.P. Ice Train, who recently passed last year in 2024.
Yep.
Fire and Ice.
Mm-hmm.
There was some big boys. I don't know.
And they were both powerhouses, man.
Yeah. I remember that feud. They was beefing. Next thing you know.
They were. Yeah, it was over. Ice Train was gone, and Scott Norton was in the NWO.
Yeah, and neither one of them could talk. That's probably their
problem. More than likely.
I'm not sure. I know Ice Train. He was with Teddy Long at one point, but I'm not sure if he was at that point right there.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, they literally for Scott Norton's body type, right? Scott Norton had a very interesting body type. Like, I think the best way to classify Scott Norton's body type is if you've played God of War, Ragnarok, and you see Thor. Now, we're used to Thor, Marvel's Thor, Hulk and Duke, Hemsworth, all that fun stuff. But you see Thor, and Thor is a powerhouse of his own, but he's just lumbering. He's just big, wide guy, look like he ain't hit an ab day in about 300 years. You know, that's kind of what he looked like. Well, that's kind of what Scott Norton was like. He had the arms, but I mean, it's just his physique was literally that of a strong man. There you go. He had the physique of a strong man. Well, that was Ice Train too. So it was like they were literally two of a kind. And I think that's why they worked so well. And I guess that's when they had their beef, why it did what it did. It's like, okay, can we watch this guy wrestle this guy? They're both the same, and neither of them are flash. None of them are really technically sound, and you know, they're just big brutes out here throwing each other around. Is that worth watching? The answer ended up being no. So, yeah. But anyway, Ice Train ends up gone, and Scott Norton ends up in the NWO languishing in mid-card hell. Until he was no longer with the company either.
Yeah, it was unfortunate, but Scott Norton, he had a lengthy career, so I guess that's all that matters.
Yeah, I mean, he got look, the dude got paid, so ultimately that's all that really matters. He got paid. He made money. You could be an absolute bum, but as long as you get paid, at the end of the day, that's all that really matters.
Seriously. All right, well, it's time for the main events. The main event of tonight's show is from the confrontation from last week. We have Lex Luger, the total package, taking on Hulk Hogan for the World Heavyweight Championship. Man, so you have, you know, the guy of the 80s and the early 90s, and you have the guy trying to be the guy.
Mm-hmm.
When you seen them two got in the ring, did you think Luger had a chance to dethrone Hogan?
So let's see. This was, again, so this is my 19-year-old self at the time. My 19-year-old self saw Luger and Hogan in the ring and said, no shot in hell.
Damn. You shot that down.
Yeah. My 19-year-old self said, and I can tell you, as a 19-year-old watching wrestling versus now, it's a lot more nuanced now because I spent a lot of additional time watching wrestling and kind of seeing things how they work. But at 19, all I saw was there was no way in hell Lex Luger was coming into WCW, his first match back, and he was going to win the title off of Hulk Hogan. Mr. I held the belt for 5 years. Just not happening. Not at least without some help. So, if he had help, maybe. If it was a straight one-on-one, no.
You was 19, I was 7 when this match took place.
Yep.
I remember the match. I do remember. I was rooting for Hogan. I was a Hogan guy. I was a big fan of Luger. I knew Luger was in WWF because I seen him with the red, white, and black trunks all the time. I didn't know anything before that. But I was like, I didn't care. But Hogan was that guy. I know Hogan from WWF. I know Hogan now. So, you know, I'm our Hogan guy at the time.
Right.
And, you know, the match starts, you know, with the test of strength. You guys going back and forth, which is obvious.
Yeah.
You got Hogan with the largest arms in the world taking on the total package. You got to do a test of strength. And
yeah, which is crazy because it's crazy because if you really think about it, it's like we talk about Hulk Hogan's got the largest arms in the world, the 24-inch pythons. Well, Luger's 22. So he's not that far off. It's not like we're dealing with a twerp. This dude's arms is pretty big as well. So,
They're trying to one up one
Yeah.
another. Hogan suplex Luger, and Luger just gets right up, and he just flexes right in Hogan's face like nothing.
He pulled a Sting.
He did.
He pulled a Sting. Yep. Yep. Again, not a real technical match.
Well, at one point in the match, we see Lex Luger put Hogan in the torture rack,
and that looked painful.
And, hold on, we got the same referee from last week, Randy Pee Wee Anderson, the one that was pulling Hogan's hair. He was in the match again, and then I'd never seen nobody raise an arm while you're in the torture rack.
He's like, my man's like this. He's like.
Luger thought he had Hogan on the third arm drop, but nah, he dropped him before the hand fell down for the third time, and
oh Jesus!
Luger's celebrating. He's like, no, you didn't win. And next you know what time it is. Hogan's gonna start hulking up.
The three. What was it? I say the 4 moves. The original four moves of Doom. Hulk up. The finger wag.
Yep.
The punches. The 5 moves of Doom. The kick, the leg drop, and it's over. So
you didn't get all of that. You got him hulking up.
Then
he went for the leg drop. Then after that, then you get the Dungeon of Doom
again
out of nowhere, and then they attack Hulk Hogan. They attacked Macho Man early in the night, and now they attacking Hulk Hogan.
Jimmy Hart goes back. He gets Sting and Macho Man. They both come out and start fighting him off. Macho Man gets attacked too. Conspicuous is that Lex Luger does not. Lex Luger gets to have a nap over at the end underneath the rope. The entire time the Dungeon of Doom is in there fighting everyone else.
And Hogan is pissed off. Where you at, Luger? I'm like, this ain't your beef, Luger. You did the right thing. Like,
yeah,
you, Hogan, I want your title.
Like, if you really think about it, Luger never looked in the ring the entire time he was taking his nap. He was facing the fans, so you could just hear rumblings behind him. I would have been like, I don't know what's going on back there, but if they don't touch me, I ain't touching them. I'm straight.
So Hogan's pissed off at Luger. Savage is pissed off at Luger. Sting is like, whoa, chill out. And I was, re-watching this. I was upset how Sting became the third guy. Like, this was you were the number one baby face. Then Hogan came in. Okay, whatever. I'll take back burner. And then Savage came in. Like, damn, I'm number 3 now.
You're number 3. And Lex Luger came in, and you were still number 3.
Yeah.
Because Lex Luger came in and became number 5. Because he still had Ric Flair even ahead of him. So, yeah.
Well, with that, everybody's pissed off besides Sting. Everybody want to know, Luger, who you down with? Are you down with the Dungeon of Doom? Because they didn't attack you. Well, I got some audio clips right here, and I'm going to let y'all hear this right quick. Here we go.
All right, fans, it is erupted here in light of the decision just handed down by the referee for the second consecutive week on Monday Nitro. Again, Hulk Hogan, we have to sort some things out with Fall Brawl coming up this Sunday and War Games. You're short a man. I understand Vader does not qualify to be part of the Hulkamaniacs when you meet the Dungeon of Doom. Well, you know something, Gene? War Games is 1 week away. It's not bad enough that Vader's already gone AWOL. They've got an extra man on us, brother. It's 3 against 4. Luger comes out here, getting in my face 2 weeks in a row, gives me the run for my money, the match of my life, brother. Where are you coming from, Luger? How come they didn't lay their hands on you when they jumped on my back? Which side are you on, brother? I like to say double goes for me. I'm asking you also. Hey! Let's hear it. Where are you coming from, Luger? What am I? Well, hold on, man. Just a minute. Just look around here. Look at this. Look at this right here. Does this look like something big? Hey, come on, man. Vader's out of the picture. And
Savage ain't got no filter.
Savage was a beast.
Nobody's on our side helping us rather than getting stabbed in the back by Luger coming in here and showing something different than what needs to happen. Hey, let me just say something, Macho Man. You and I have nothing against each other, right? Exactly. Okay, you want to win more games, right? Exactly.
Exactly.
I vote Luger into the team, man. I vote him in. I respect that. But I need to ask you a question. All right, go ahead, man. How come the Dungeon of Doom attacked Hulk Hogan and the Macho Man Randy Savage and didn't touch you and Jimmy R? Oh, wait a minute. Are you I'm the one that takes you to Norton back to get you and Sting to help the Hawks. No. Listen to him. Listen to what Jimmy's trying to say. Wait a minute, brothers. Let me put this all together. Are you serious? Lex Luger take Vader's place in War Games? Yeah. This is America, baby. Innocent till proven guilty. You have the final vote, baby. It looks like
He ain't got the final vote now.
bottom line.
Not at all.
No. So it's 1-1, brother. I'm telling you, I got a feeling that he ain't right. Hey, listen, Macho Man, you can have your vote, but you're only one of 4 votes. Okay, brother, you want him in, you want him out. I'm torn apart. But the way I look at War Games, when you put all the men in a cage, we'll find out what everybody's made of Luger. Would you be our partner, brother? We want to test you in War Games. Yes.
Fun, they all standing right next to each other. They all screaming.
Don't make a fool out of me. Don't make a fool out of me.
Don't make a fool out of me.
War Games, and I'll stand with you side by side, blow by blow. But one condition, I want that title shot down the line. You promised me. There's some unfinished business here. He's got an ulterior
Oh my goodness. He got
You
a
see,
motive.
you see, he's got an ulterior motive. I knew it.
And them 5 guys standing all right in front of each other just yelling. Why the hell y'all yelling right in front of each other? Oh my
Not a damn clue.
goodness. Oh my goodness. Wow, and that's how they closed the show with trying to get Lex Luger on the Fall Brawl team.
Mm-hmm. And of course, they went to the 3. They went to Eric and Bobby and Mongo to kind of close it out. But yeah, that was the crux of it. Trying to persuade Lex Luger after less than 2 minutes ago wanting to knock his head in because he wasn't getting attacked, to all of a sudden be on the team.
Yes, well, this is the Nitro before Fall Brawl 1995. I'm going to tell you the results. I'm going to tell you the card for Fall Brawl 1995. They kicked off the show with the American Males, my man Marcus Bagwell and Scotty Riggs, who's been on the It Doesn't Matter podcast. They took on the Nasty Boys and the American Males. They got the win. And you know, this is our 2nd episode of Nitro. We still ain't have a tag team match yet, player.
Nope.
Maybe
Not
next
at
week.
all.
Maybe next week.
Maybe.
And the next match, wow, they had a lot of time. They had 29 minutes. Johnny B. Bad defeated Brian Pillman.
Oh.
29 minutes. Holy
Wow.
wow. Yeah.
That's. Well, I mean, Johnny B. Bad was one of the real workers of WCW.
He was a bad man.
He was a bad man.
He was a bad man.
Mm-hmm.
Our next match, we had Craig Pittman, the Sarge, going against Cobra.
Mm-hmm. Who?
Exactly. That match went 1 minute and 22 seconds.
Oh, Lord. Squash match.
Our next match is for the WCW World Television Championship. We have DDP, Diamond Dallas Page, with the Diamond Doll and Max Muscle going against the Renegade.
Oh, the wannabe Ultimate Warrior. Okay. Yeah, I forgot about Max Muscle. But, yeah, I definitely did not forget about Renegade. They brought Renegade in to be Ultimate Warrior at a time when they could not get Ultimate Warrior. And then when Ultimate Warrior came on, they said, okay, Renegade, we got Warrior. We don't need you. and Renegade got relegated to less than undercard status. Like, that dude you only saw in catering.
Yeah, like once the NWO took effect,
Renegade was out.
Yeah,
he was done. He was done.
He was good. I liked him. Oh my god.
Yeah. I think the big mistake is that they brought him in to be basically Ultimate Warrior until Ultimate Warrior came in.
Got the Ultimate Warrior. WCW, you have the Renegade.
Look, think about it. It is not a concept we haven't seen before, because 80s WWF, that's how Demolition came to be, because Demolition was supposed to be the Road Warriors until the Road Warriors got there. And then all of a sudden, Axe was gone, Smash was the Repo Man, and Crush was out there cracking coconuts.
Yep.
So,
that's exactly what happened.
So I mean, it's not a foreign concept. It has happened before. So you have, let's see, you had the actual Fall Brawl match. I don't remember who won between the Legion of Doom and the Hulkamaniacs. My guess is going to be, since it was a real strong angle they were pushing, and you had a lot of instability within the Hulkamaniacs, Dungeon of Doom makes sense. I'm not, as I said, I'm not clear on how that match went, because
I'll tell you, we got 3 more matches left.
Yeah,
After that DDP Renegade match, we have a tag team title match. You have Harlem Heat, my man Booker T and Stevie Ray with Sister Sherry defeating Bunkhouse Buck and Dirty Dick Slater with the Colonel.
Oh wow! I remember them too.
They won 16-49.
Bunkhouse Buck and Dirty Dick Slater, man, I remember them.
I'm gonna give you a fun fact.
I remember
Do
them.
you remember when Jack Swagger, he was your champ,
Mm-hmm.
and they brought out his dad?
Mm-hmm.
That was Bunkhouse. Yep. All right. Well, after this match, we have Arn Anderson defeating the Nature Boy Ric Flair.
Woo!
22 minutes.
Yeah. See, I like that though. I like that. Look at I mean, you're calling out matches and they're long. Like, there's actually some decent time to them.
That American Males match, that was 4 minutes. Johnny B. Bad was 29.
Mm-hmm.
Pittman was a minute 20.
Yeah, we don't care about Pittman though, and American Males was just the starter. So you don't anticipate the starter's gonna go for a 20 minute solid.
DDP and Renegade was 8.
Renegade.
Harlem Heat and Bunkhouse 16.
But even in that, in an era where most matches will run 8 to 10 minutes,
yeah,
this is decent.
Arn Anderson and Flair 22.
Yeah, I mean,
and our War Games match is 18 minutes.
Now that's crazy as hell. Usually that main event is usually the match that's the longest match of the night.
Think about it. You're supposed to get in every 5 minutes, so somebody's math is off. Somebody's math ain't mathing. All right. Our main event for Fall Brawl 95 is the War Games match. We have Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage, Lex Luger, and Sting with Jimmy Hart. And they defeated the Dungeon of Doom of Kabbalah, the Zodiac, the Shark, and Meng. And Kevin Sullivan, the Taskmaster, was in their corner. See, you didn't know. See,
that's it. It was ill-fated.
You thought Dungeon of Doom won that joint.
Well, that's it. No, I mean, it sounded like that's what you said. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, I don't remember. I don't remember.
I'm curious we're gonna get to it eventually. I'm curious to
Yeah.
know when Jimmy Hart joined the dungeon.
Join the Dungeon of Doom.
Yeah, I'm curious. You remember this? Jimmy, that's Andre. That's Andre.
Yeah, I remember. So I mean, there's very few things about the Dungeon of Doom I actually remember, but I do remember when Zodiac joined. You would have thought somebody had taken Hulk Hogan's pit bull out back and shot him straight in the dome. He looks so hurt.
For y'all not knowing who the Zodiac is, the Zodiac is Ed Leslie. Ed Leslie was your former Brutus the Barber Beefcake.
Yep, and in real life, Ed Leslie and Hulk Hogan are very close friends. So basically, everywhere you saw Hulk Hogan, for a very long time, you saw Ed Leslie.
And you want to know why? Because Ed Leslie used to hold Hogan's weed for him. He's a weed handler. That's why he always had a job.
So, I mean, he was Brutus the Barber Beefcake in WWF. And towards the end of his time in WWF, him and Hogan were tight to the point where he was always wearing yellow and red. Goes to WCW, he's in the Dungeon of Doom. But then, when the Dungeon of Doom is no longer a thing and NWO comes up, he becomes the Disciple.
Come on, man. You skipped a few gimmicks. Come on, man.
He becomes the Disciple because the rest of them didn't really matter.
What about the Booty Man?
Again, the rest of them didn't really matter.
The Booty Man, the Zodiac.
Yeah, they didn't. He became the Disciple. That was the one that actually mattered.
And as a kid, 7 years old, I didn't know. Well, at the time, not NWO, but I didn't know that was Brutus. I didn't know he was a Disciple.
Well,
He had
you
a
know,
beard.
yeah, and I think it was the beard. It was because he had gotten jacked.
Yeah.
He had gotten jacked. He had the beard and all that stuff like that. And I mean it. And as a kid, as a teenager and stuff like that, I remember the accident. So I remember when he came back, I remember him looking different. I mean, he was still who he was, but I remember him looking different. And it's weird to say that as the Disciple, he looked the closest that I remember him as Brutus the Barber Beefcake. Because, I mean, he had to have some facial reconstruction work done when he had his accident, if I'm not mistaken, but he looked different as a result of the accident. But yeah, as I said, by his side always, and according to Dom, he was his weed handler, so he always had a job. So, I mean, we'll roll with that. Although I don't really, I think by the time Hogan went to TNA, he was about 800, so he didn't need to roll with him no more. Yeah.
Well, after Fall Brawl 95, the next night on Nitro, which we're covering next week, episode 3. I'm going to go over the card right quick. BDC, did you get a sneak peek? What's taking
I
place
did not.
All right.
I did not.
Here we go. We got our first tag team match we're going to
Okay.
witness. We have the American males. We have my man Marcus Alexander Bagwell
And Scotty
Riggs.
Riggs.
taking on the Blue Bloods, William Regal and
Bobby Eaton.
Sir Bobby.
Sir Bobby Eaton.
Yeah.
Or is it Sir Robert Eaton?
Robert.
Robert, Bobby, all in the same. Same guy.
Yes. And after this, we have Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff taking on Johnny B. Bad.
Yep, Paul Orndorff, one of the prettiest pile drivers you ever did see.
Yep. We have 4 Horsemen members going at it. We have Flying Brian Pillman taking on Ric Flair. Pillman wasn't a Horseman at the time, but in his career he was.
He was eventually, yep.
Let's see. Who else we have?
Yeah, it's outstanding to see Brian Pillman's career arc.
Yeah.
Because I mean, he was the high flyer. He was like he basically he was WCW's answer to Shawn Michaels
Ooh.
as far as the Rockers gimmick. He was that answer. He was the answer to that. He was flashy. He could fly. He could do all this stuff, and he was rocking the mullet to kind of try to make him be the ladies' man. So he was,
90s, though.
but he was like he was that. He was that. They tried to make him that guy. It seemed to me.
Am I tripping? Hold on.
What are you looking at? What's the matter?
I'm looking to see if we have more matches. It seems like we only got 3 matches for next week.
Well, I mean, that was what they advertised at the end of the episode. It was literally those 3 matches, and then they showed the Nasty Boys, but they didn't say the Nasty Boys was facing anybody. Just said that they were there.
Wow. So yeah, we definitely getting a recap show and 3 matches next week. American Males versus. Oh, hold on. The other one said the Blue Blood. This one said Harlem Heat. I don't know. We're gonna find out next week.
Oh, this is getting weird. Okay, so
But we do have Paul Orndorff and Johnny B. Bad.
Yep, that's that's happening.
And we do have Ric Flair and Brian Pillman for next week. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
there's got to be more matches. They just probably didn't.
I think just because it's 1995, they don't know what they're doing. I think they're trying to show.
Well, I mean, then again, it is an hour, so.
Looking at these timestamps, they don't even equal 20 minutes. Oh man, so doozy. So all right.
Oh Lord, he's 20. God.
It's definitely gonna be a doozy. Well, episode 2 was fun. Episode 1 was definitely fun, and we're gonna keep going through this journey. We're gonna keep on going.
Yep.
We're gonna keep on going. Next week, episode 3. Not sure where they at. We're gonna figure out when we watch the show and review it. And actually, no, I found out. Johnson City, Tennessee.
Okay.
Ain't nothing significant out there. So not
Yep.
Memphis.
Yeah.
Not Nashville.
Nope. I will call out. I think what we'll try to do is call out the locations, like where they're actually having the events, because we did Mall of America last week. So episode 2 ran at the Knight Center, inside Miami. I did have to actually look it up because I was like, wait, the hell's a Knight Center? Because I'd never heard of it. Because that's
in Miami. I don't know.
That's very often a thing. So the Knight Center in Miami, named after somebody, is actually the James L. Knight Center in downtown Miami. Have no clue who James L. Knight is. So if anybody wants to kind of look that up and let us know, very much appreciate it, because I'm not going to look it up.
It's not worthy. It is not worthy. But Nitro Podcast is definitely worthy. It definitely does matter. And we're gonna bring episode 3 next week. BDC, thank you. I'm Notorious One. I am Dom. I'm here with my man BDC all the way in Delaware, and we bring you the WCW Nitro Podcast, and we will see you next time. Boom.